maybe something came out.
I need to go every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. And right over there, you got that one.
Yeah, well, I think
Country
it's just the other
Heights.
places don't have
Call
this
in.
place, the old
There's
places,
3 of them.
right?
right, Johns
Yes.
River.
I didn't, I mean, I said,
Might have to do something
texted him
about
this
that.
morning to say I was gonna be on
Everybody
late
else
today.
going there.
Thanks.
Let's go. That's nice. You got an apple.
He was planning to
See
come.
what's supposed to be.
Okay,
That's a nice place.
Really? That was
No, I mean,
If you
it's-
buy a energy efficient wash
They're not
tank,
really
or
supposed to
is
go
such a thing, is there a rebate program with the CMU?
Depending on the class over, I think they're simple. But I mean, it's just nice place.
I didn't even know it was open.
Yeah. You should try it sometime.
Yeah. we will.
Yeah. Just curious.
But we were there later, and we got talking.
All right, 6 o'clock.
The people who work there are members.
It's 6 o'clock.
And they don't really get paid.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our Monday, April 14th, 2025 Cascade City Council meeting. We'll have a call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a roll call?
Oliphant. Here. Weber.
Here.
Hush.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Delaney.
Here. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Weber,
Second.
second by Hush. All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, we'll have public comment. There's a limit of 3 minutes per person on agenda items and local government issues.
Hello, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. My name's Eric Honda. I live at 316 Second Avenue Southwest here in Cascade. I would like to talk about the ordinance 0225, the urban chicken ordinance. I guess I'm pro bringing this ordinance through, allowing people to have chickens. A couple of things that I like to kind of talk to is, I'm a law enforcement officer in an adjoining city. We've had a ordinance on book prior to my getting on service there, and I can tell you, I have never dealt with a call from that, either chickens being out, people complaining about coops or anything like that. Civil call, I can't remember even looking through calls for services. Again, there might be some that I didn't see, but I can't remember ever seeing something like that. I like the fact that I would be able to have my own egg supply. The problem, I do have some concerns with the ordinance though, as it's written, with the 100-foot neighbor approval. From what I read with the ordinance and kind of looking at the diagram, I'm kind of confused on why my neighbor across the street that would have no effect of my backyard be able to say yes or no, because that would be 100 feet from my property line. Or if on my current property, I would have to actually contact certain businesses, not just another neighbor. The other thing with the neighborly approval that I didn't see as part of the ordinance was a form of mediation if my neighbor says no. So how would you go about rectifying that situation or giving me an opportunity? Because if you have a neighborly dispute, how am I going to go besides some sort of legal route on doing this? Also with the permits, I understand doing an annual permit. I think a better solution to instead of an annual permit would be just a structural permit for the chicken coop itself. If I'm building a structure on my property, I have to get a permit, which then would have to be inspected by the city. So if you want to make sure that everything is followed by that ordinance, that would be a way to make sure everything's followed by that ordinance. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Anybody else?
My name is Leanne Reisner. I'm here in support of the chickens as well. I just think that it brings educational opportunities for our youth. We have a wonderful ag program here in town I think that that would be a great addition for them to be able to hatch the eggs and do a large learning program from youth up through high school for them. I also think just in general for kids in the home, learning where their food products come from, learning how to raise the chickens and the eggs, kind of that whole full spectrum. I do have issue too with the neighbors needing to approve it to say yes, simply because if I have a dog, if I have a cat, if I have any animal like that, that dogs probably are going to make more noise. I don't have to get their approval for that as well. So just something to think about there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before we get to the consent agenda, I'd like to thank everybody that worked so incredibly hard to make the library event on Saturday such a great event for the whole city. So thank you to everybody involved, and
Thank you for your work.
everybody was quite impressed by everything. So that was a good event. Thanks, everybody. Consent agenda, city council minutes and special city council minutes, 3/24/25, Cascade Park Board minutes, 4/7/25, Cascade Public Library minutes, 4/1/25, Jones County Economic Development Board minutes, 2/25/25, Cascade Economic Development Board minutes, 3/19/25, liquor license renewal, American Legion Post 528, March month-end financial reports, and April 14, 2025 claims. Is there any questions about the consent agenda?
I just have a comment or an observation on the park board minutes. It's in regard to the amphitheater down there. Apparently they went through and figured out what needed to be done this spring. The fascia on the back
Is delaminating.
is delaminating. I mean, that's a very costly piece of wood and whatever, and I think we need to address it sooner than later, whether it's, obviously the drip, basically it's a deal where
The water runs over it.
the drip edge isn't long enough, and there's a slight tilt to the fascia board, and it basically runs down the face of it. So I don't know if a person would cover that with copper or something like that. I mean, that would be the problem, because it does, it's an unusual design. It's not like you can buy something off the Weber, so. And I don't know, I know there's on Garfield South, there's somebody from Icon Design.
He looked at it.
He looked at it.
Yep.
Is it doable?
He thought it was. There's about 3 different opinions on how they can do it and what they can do. It's just a matter of deciding, what you want to do with it. But it was in regard to put an extended drip edge on it.
Okay. Well, I think it's something that really needs to be done before if we lose that, start losing that structure there.
You
It's-
wouldn't
it's gonna
want
be
to know
serious.
what that cost to
Yeah,
replace
it's gonna
that.
be serious, so, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? If none, I need a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Hush, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, consideration to approve resolution number 36-25, resolution setting a public hearing date for April 28th, 2025. Is there any questions on this?
Make a motion.
Motion by Gale,
I'll second it.
second by Oliphant, roll call.
Oliphant? Aye. Weber?
Aye.
Hush?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Delaney?
Aye.
Number 8, consideration to approve resolution number 37-25, a resolution approving the hire of Sean Pry as a summer public works employee for the city of Cascade, Iowa.
I'll make a motion. Sean did a great job last year.
Motion by Oliphant,
Second.
second by Weber, roll call.
Weber?
Aye.
Hush?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Delaney?
Aye.
Oliphant?
Aye.
Number 9, consideration to approve ordinance number 2-25, an ordinance adding Title 4 Mental Physical Health, Chapter 2 Urban Chickens to the City Code of Ordinances, and this is the possible first reading of 3. Is there any concern with this?
So we heard from 2 people that were for it. I probably heard from 40 people that doesn't want it. So from text message to Facebook messages to tell me down to library open house to gas stations, the grocery stores, so, a lot of people don't want it from what I hear, so.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I did quite a bit of research on this. I went through and found cities near us that have that allow chickens. Dubuque does, Cedar Rapids does, North Liberty does. I also looked around and Ankeny allows them. Story County does, and I believe Waukee does. And what I found, then I also made some phone calls too, to the city. I called Dubuque and I called Anamosa, and Anamosa's, their health department, I'm sorry, that's Dubuque's health department. Her name was Mary Rose. She was wonderful. She said that I wanted to know if they get a lot of complaints, what the feedback is on the chickens in Dubuque. And she said that they maybe get between 10 to 20 chicken complaints a year. But she then added that that is compared to 1,500 animal complaints that they get a year. She said that, and they don't require a permit. If you want to have chickens, you can just have chickens. And I also don't believe that they have a limit to them either. So theirs is really lax. And she said that the main complaints they get, though, are sanitary issues with that, which I believe that the resolution that we're proposing covers what the expectations are. I also I called the city of Anamosa. I talked to Gina, and she said she wasn't sure, so she had to talk to the deputy clerk. And the deputy clerk, when she called me back, she said that the deputy clerk said that they'd never had any complaints. She also called and talked to their police department, and they also confirmed that they've never had any complaints there regarding chickens. She said that, and one thing going back to Mary Rose from Dubuque, she said that people tend to make a bigger deal out of having chickens than what it truly is. She said in a community your size, I would be shocked to see more than 20 people having chickens in their backyard. And that people are there's an aversion to change with the chickens. I also did some research on positives for having chickens, and that is they are a natural pest control. They provide, obviously, the fresh eggs. You can get rid of food scraps in a more sustainable way. They can improve your soil health. It's a great way, Leanne touched on this, a great way to educate kids on where food comes from and teach responsibility. And then they can also be a lot of communities consider chickens pets. There are some negatives that I found, and that was the smell due to sanitary conditions. So I do, like I said, I think our proposed ordinance does cover that. And then the noise, but we aren't allowing roosters. And so, however, hens do announce when they lay eggs, so there may be that small amount of noise. But I also agree with what Eric and Leanne said too, that we don't get a say on whether or not our neighbors have dogs or cats, and dogs are significantly more noisy than what chickens would be, from what my research said. So I don't love that our neighbors have to approve it, but I can understand abutting properties if we want to have that. I didn't even consider the mediation, though, if there was an issue where neighbors were saying no. But I think that we had 2 people come in tonight, but we've had people come in at other council meetings requesting us to consider an ordinance with chickens. And to me, I don't see an issue with it. I did also look at complaints for property value. Because there was a concern that it would lower people's property values. The research I found is that it doesn't, as long as people maintain their coops. And with the verbiage we added regarding what the coops, like the materials that need to be used and consistency in those, I think that covers those as well. So, I think that this is something that people in I don't disagree with Chad. There are people that don't want them. I had 2 people come up and say that they didn't want them. I do think that I had more people reach out to me saying that they wanted them because they know that I'm pro chickens. Whereas I'm assuming vice versa, Chad, you don't want them, and so more people are gonna go to you and agree with you versus the people come up and, they're not gonna wanna go argue with you, so you're gonna hear from the people that agree with you more than you're gonna hear from the people that disagree with you.
Eric sent me an email today. I listened to it. I didn't respond yet because I just looked at it at 5:30 when I got here. But I mean, I listened to it, but I got the more pro or cons against it. My dad says, he probably disagrees on the soil stuff and all that. And you talk to any of these older ladies that grew up with chickens, and it's not fun, and the smell is terrible. So I'm going by what they want, so.
I talked to some of those older ladies when I was working at the tap room as well, and their thing was that they grew up on farms where the chickens were free range, and there were a lot of them. These will be caged in, and there's a maximum of 6. So I think that, again, I don't know that we're comparing apples to apples with what the ladies, and I understand, I wouldn't want to be chased by a chicken either. And I don't want to be pecked or bit by a chicken, but I think that there's a big difference from what this resolution is proposing versus living on a farm with free-range chickens. And I do think that we're kind of making a mountain out of a molehill here. Like, this isn't going to be where everybody has chickens in their backyard. I think you're going to have a small select group of people that want chickens. I mean, I was chatting with my neighbors last night, and they're like, I don't really want chickens in my backyard, but I don't personally want chickens, but I don't care if you do. Who cares? So that's where I think that I'm frustrated that people want to determine what I can and can't have on my property, especially if it's not going to affect theirs.
Any other
Awfully
comments?
quiet, Mark. I would love to hear your thoughts.
So if somebody wants a cow, you can let them have a cow?
A cow's a big difference than a chicken.
What about a goat? I mean, we have coon and skunk problem already. Now this will bring mice, rats,
Snakes.
everything. So,
You think they're going to bring more than what we currently
oh,
have?
absolutely,
Why?
because they're fed outside. A chicken coop drops feed.
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna eat that when the chicken can't get to it?
Why wouldn't it be able to get to it?
Because it's got a screen floor. Have you did your research on a chicken coop?
They don't all have screen floors.
So, okay. So you're gonna, okay. Mink, weasels, they're gonna get killed. No, I mean, and you're saying there's 20 people out there that want them, but the whole town can get them.
Mm-hmm.
So just think of that too.
But look at the communities that allow it, that are much more densely populated than Cascade.
It's true.
But we don't have to do it.
So
That's my take on
towns
it.
surrounding us that allow it are Monticello, Anamosa, Piasta. Farley is currently reviewing ordinances because they want them. Dubuque allows them. Dyersville also said that they were potentially looking at them as well. To me, I feel like this is something that people are wanting. And yeah, you're right, there are people that don't want them, but
There's more, nobody contacted me that wanted them, for one thing, and I wasn't at the last meeting when Chad was going off on them, so you saying Chad's against them and you're for them, you're getting that, I got all against, so that's my take on it.
Sarah, your neighbor didn't come over and say she wants to be able to have
At
chickens?
one time she did, but that's one person. At one time, not this time. She did say probably 6 months ago. And I'm not gonna do something if just one person in the whole town wants it.
Well, there's obviously more people that want it than just one.
Well,
Anybody else?
Well, I haven't had a lot, but they've all been negative on this ordinance. And for just various reasons, whatever, so. I've had probably 4 or 5 people, and for me, that's a lot of contact. And all of them against it.
Mike?
I'm at 1 or 2 for, and the majority were against. I agree with the aspect that I don't think, even if it was approved, I don't think it would be widespread. From my research going through, it tends to be more of a lifestyle thought process that I think some people get into it originally thinking they're going to cut their egg prices and they're going to get cheap. But by the time you add up everything and your time and your food and everything in it, you end up paying more than, you're not really saving money on eggs. That's what I'm getting at. So I think people who do it are doing it more for a lifestyle, like they don't want to buy their eggs, they want to grow their eggs, you know, type of thing, kind of like hunting or something of that nature. I think it ends up being that way, more of a health choice or whatnot. As far as in the community and going through, I get that there is kind of that movement for the eggs and go through, but I think you always have to draw a line between what is considered a domesticated animal and what is livestock. And I think if you want chickens and you want that type of stuff, I think you just, and the majority of what I get through it is, I think it's more of an out-of-town thing. I don't think it's an in-town thing. I kind of weighed out the side of like, you know, what you can have on your property and what you can't. And I agree with the side of dogs being way definitely louder than probably chickens would be. And I probably say most people would agree with that. But what I'm envisioning is what I see the chicken coops. I mean, even if you go for what they recommend at the size that we're talking about with the run and everything like that for 6 chickens, and you look at the majority of coops I've seen online that people actually end up with, they're sort of like building a building in your backyard. I mean, it's kind of a pretty good sized thing by the time you have 6 chickens. And I mean, and I know you see a lot of them online where like, you know, they're these little coop things, but like for the people who actually have to deal with chickens all the time, like you gotta have something you can walk in. And so they gotta have fence underneath, otherwise usually the chickens end up dead. I mean, that, because they burrow and the chickens scratch. I mean, they dig in the dirt for food, stuff like that. So I think it's going to be more than what people realize in that aspect. So I would say that as of right now, I'm not for it. I don't think it's, and like I said, the majority of people who have reached out have been no, and I think we just gotta kind of keep that. We don't need to add something else that we're going to have to. And then even going into like trying to monitor who's keeping their chicken coops up to the standards, and then, you know, and if the waste is being dealt with and how the composting is going to go, I think it just ends up being a lot more to, and I don't know who's going to manage that and who's going to watch it, so that's kind of where I'm left.
Everything considered, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Oliphant, second. Ordinance dies for lack of a second. Thank you.
Thanks.
Number 10, consideration to approve resolution number 38-25, a resolution approving a pre-construction agreement between Jones County and the City of Cascade for the Riverview Road project.
So if you remember, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting as just a general information, but it is going forward. So this is just a pre-construction agreement with Jones County, saying that we're on board with doing the city portion of this, of Riverview Road.
Is there any concerns with this from anybody?
Will this come out of the 25 budget or the 26?
This will come out of 26.
Is this summer, or
Yes.
as soon as they can get going?
Yeah, they're taking it to the supervisors and getting their approval.
Is there any other questions? If none, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Gale,
Second.
second by Hush, roll call.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Weber.
Number 11, consideration to approve resolution number 35-25, a resolution approving a quote from Eastern Iowa Excavating and Concrete LLC for a hydrant and water service project on Tyler Street. Phil? Any concerns?
No, this is just part of that project. We talked about getting rid of that double main. The hydrant that's currently, the two hydrants that are currently there are on the old main. This also is going to include a service to hook Shirley McDermott's house up to the new main while we're doing the hydrant.
So there's two lines in there right now
There's two mains going down the street, yeah,
going north on that street.
on north, yeah.
And last person on the left, or past Shirley, is she already on the,
No,
okay.
she's on the old main too. We got 6, right, Marty? 7 houses, 6 or 7? So we gotta convert over, but being as we're doing the hydrant, Shirley's
Yeah.
close enough
To catch it?
Sure.
to do that one at that time.
So it starts on top of the hill there, or on First Avenue, and goes all the way down. All those have to be converted. Okay.
Where's the sewer stop there at the old Sauser house, or, because there's not enough fall to,
Yeah, it runs down Second,
It-
goes in behind them houses.
yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That should do it.
Thanks, Phil. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Delaney,
Second.
second by Hush. Roll call?
Gale.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Number 12, consideration to approve resolution number 39-25, a resolution approving the purchase of an Ascendance Truck Center International Truck Chassis and a Henderson Products plow for the city of Cascade, Iowa.
So if you read your memo, I kind of explained what we're trying to do. And Phil can
Yeah, we
explain
can
it
start
more,
with
but-
the truck chassis, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
We got 2 bids, Freightliner and International, and it's the same specs as the last truck we got. So, you guys got the bids in front of you.
What was the last truck, the Freightliner one? What one do you want to get? What one do you like?
International's fine.
Okay. Right, well, yeah, cheaper's not always better. Well, but I mean, you guys are the ones running it.
Yeah, the only thing we thought on the specs as far after we bid it was his main disconnect for the battery. We didn't get that on the last truck, and we're kind of fighting Marty's truck right now, with trying to keep the batteries up.
Sure.
So we'll probably add that, which isn't gonna be a lot of money.
All right.
Just make sure everything is what you want, because it'll be here for a while.
Yeah.
That's
We need to get it ordered so we don't get involved in
Yeah.
a bunch of that.
the tariffs and all that, yep.
So that covers everything that you need.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, we don't have any problems with the last spec.
Right.
I mean, we went through it, and everything seems good.
this resolution also is for the plow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's for the combination, everything.
All right, so then we get into the plow equipment. That's not an apples for apples bid there. I did Monroe and Henderson. And Monroe, we went and looked at Henderson. We're gonna put a wing on this truck. And they offer a mid-mount extendable. So it comes out between the wheels, and the blade just goes straight back against the rear tire.
Yeah, it'll tuck in.
It's not actually against it, but back like this.
Yeah.
And when you bring it out, the extendable part, you can bring it out, you can adjust. It's an 8-foot wing, but you could actually wing 3 foot.
Yeah.
With it. Where the Monroe does not offer that. This price they gave us is what they call a junior wing. It's an 8-foot wing, But,
That's lighter?
no, it goes up against the side of the box,
Oh, I got you.
so you're up or down, you have no adjustment.
Yeah.
And Dyersville has one of these Henderson plows, and we went and looked at it, and the guys up there really like it. Obviously, you can adjust. If you're coming up to a car, you can bring it in.
Yeah.
You can leave it out 2-3 feet, then put it back out.
Mhm.
For the other one, you either got a up or down. There's no in between.
Yeah.
More of a county plow.
So you'd prefer the Henderson one?
Yep.
And if you've talked to people that have them and they like them, that speaks highly of the item.
Yeah.
Well, I see the advantage of being able to adjust it.
Did you talk to anybody that had the other one to see what their,
We went and looked at the state trucks. He didn't have a junior wing right close.
yeah,
But the state truck really don't have a junior wing, they got a
Yeah.
different style wing, but that was not adjustable either.
and they're not going in and around stuff either.
No.
They're out on a wide open stretch just running.
And the only other thing with the Henderson is we put in the option for electronic controls instead of the old cable control,
Yeah.
just a joystick, you know? And, you guys have that sheet, it's 12,000. It's a $12,000.
I just included it as, that's what you guys wanted.
Oh, okay, it's a $10,737 upgrade. So you'd get rid of your old cables and it'd be joystick controlled. Which I think if you're running your front, I've never run a lane truck, I don't know. You, I'm sure have.
Couple
cable
times.
trucks or not?
The cable's always got moisture in them. But then the solenoid controls, you want to have them in a really good sealed
Yeah, and it looks like.
enclosure.
Dyersville has them, looks like they have them sealed up really nice. I'm sure there'll be trouble down the road.
Oh, there is with both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we were looking at getting that upgrade, so I think it'd be a little handier for the operator, especially if you had another apparatus to run. Instead of, you run a cable, you're moving a lot
Yeah.
of joysticks. But,
Yeah.
so,
Marty probably doesn't have an opinion, but what's he think?
you don't like electronics. I can tell you that. So that's where we're at. Any questions on the plow equipment?
And the only other thing that we might want to mention, and I did mention it in my memo, is that if we go with the Henderson plow equipment and we send a check within 30 days, we do get a 3.5% discount. And so we'll pay for that, we would pay for that out of the fiscal year '25 budget, and then the chassis in the fiscal year '26 budget, which is how I had it already planned anyway, so.
3%, 3%.
3.5%.
3.5%.
All adds up?
Yes.
What's the rear suspension on the truck chassis?
Been waiting to look.
Should be spreading just like it's on the back of that freight line.
It'd be the same though?
Yeah, the specs are identical. There's
Okay.
14 front.
Yeah, it's not air right.
No.
And what's the spec on the box?
Stainless.
Stainless. That makes a lot of sense.
Same thing we got.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be spring. I can't find it right now, but rear axle. Diff locks, rear suspension. Vari-rate springs with auxiliary multi-leaf spring.
Okay. So everything's covered?
Yep, unless you guys got questions.
What color?
Same color, school bus. I'll change color up again.
What color? That's the best question I've heard tonight. If there's no other questions for Phil, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Delaney,
Second.
second by Weber, roll call.
Delaney.
Aye.
Oliphant.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Hush.
Aye.
Gale.
Aye.
Number 13, discuss lead service line conversion process.
So this is just something that we need to talk about and kind of get some direction from council is, this has to be replaced, these have to be replaced. I suggest that we send notices out to the people that have been identified with lead service lines and see what kind of feedback we get. There are gonna be people that probably either can't afford it or just ignore the notice or whatever. And at that point, I would say that we should budget so much money out of the water fund and then maybe pay for the costs up front, and then we would assess them on their taxes or whatever, so they would pay the city back. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, they're gonna come after the city to make sure these are changed, even though, I mean, there's an ordinance that spells it out that the homeowners are, responsible from the main to their house. But if the EPA is gonna go after anybody, they're gonna come after the city. So we need to be more proactive about getting these changed out and replaced.
Is there any funding for it? If they're making them do it?
There is funding through SRF, but then you have to jump through a million hoops, and you have to pay, get all-American products, and there's just, it's not worth the hoops to jump through.
How do you guys determine that's lead? Is it as it hits the meter?
Well, the DNR mandated that we do a service line inventory, so I had to go in all of them that I had no idea what they have. And then when I
You
went
just
and
observe
looked
what's at the meter?
down where it comes into the basement by the
Okay.
meter,
How many do we have, Marty?
about 38.
So there's not
Not
a
very
lot.
many.
No, yeah, but some of them are the tough ones, Main Street, like
Yeah.
4 of them,
What do they consider galvanized lines? Are they,
lead.
That's what has.
that's considered lead?
Yep,
Really?
yep. Unless I can verify that it was changed,
Yeah.
but they still don't like to see galvanized, because that's an automatic lead.
That's a red flag.
Yep, and that's what they based it off of. They said you may not have lead in the house, but if we see galvanized, it's considered that, because in order to do it, to make that tap off of the city's main. Now, the city owns the main, the homeowner owns everything else. But in order to make that connection from a 4-inch water main or whatever size, 6-inch, you had to have a lead gooseneck. And that is what is considered the lead part, because
It's flexible?
it's flexible and it gave when the ground moved. So, and then they attached the galvanized to that.
To that.
So anytime they seen that, when we went in, that's an automatic in the DNR's eyes. The city is not mandating this. This is the DNR telling us this. And they give you 10 years to get these all sewed up.
But so Marty, just because it's in the house at the meter doesn't necessarily mean it's at the curb stop to the court.
Right. But
Which
the-
you have no idea knowing that.
That's right.
And that's when we did Main Street. We saw poles
Yep.
in them and found it,
Yep.
made sure that
So
if they're
then-
copper, we just let them go.
Yep. Then the question arises, so you're down there doing a vac job on the line and you pierced the line. And we asked the DNR about that when we're backing out.
Yeah,
Well,
the water's not
nobody knew.
Water's not gonna pierce the copper line.
No, not the copper, the
Oh,
galvanized.
the galvanized, yeah, on the,
When you're searching at the curb box, then, well, then what?
oh, yeah. No, I don't
No
think we need to search
explanation
it.
at that point.
We don't
Well,
need to search it.
like I said, it's not the city's water line. It's the city owns the main. So there's some gray areas there. But we gotta do something. But like Deanna said, we have to figure out what we're gonna do.
So from the main to the curb stop is also the homeowner?
Absolutely.
Everything.
It's been that way forever,
Yep.
since I've been here. Now, somebody else down the street's gonna tell you different, but that ain't the way it is. Read the ordinance.
That's what tells
Do
you.
we have any idea what it's gonna cost to replace it from the main to the house?
I mean, it all depends on how long.
For sure.
Like, it could be, you know, what, $1,200 all the way to $5,000 or whatever. It just
Well,
depends on the
You gotta
length.
go, how much dirt you
Yeah,
gotta move.
it all depends on how the
The
length from
street,
the
Mine,
curb stop
that
to
house up
the,
there did that, it was like $2,500 to do.
Yeah.
So,
From, yeah.
curb stop to the.
we just did the Lehman's Automotive there, they just did that, you know. But that was already in the property, to the property,
Yeah.
so they had to just do it.
I kind of wonder if we are doing it, and, I mean, depending on the response we get, but if could we get a better price for doing multiple of them at one time versus everybody trying to go out and do it themselves?
If you could bundle them
Yeah.
and get
Kind of
everybody,
like what we did with the trees. If there
that
was-
you could
yeah.
get 12
Boring is a
people
little bit-
agreeable to,
Less evasive,
yeah.
you know, the boring of it. And we've done some of
It
that.
basically comes down to consumers. The resident has to pay for it, so.
Right.
We're kind of putting ourselves.
Yeah, we
kind
don't
of-
want, we don't wanna, we just, Dan's asking to maybe put some money aside to
Help
help
them out, and then they pay
assess-
us back.
then assess
Right,
the
I agree with that,
taxes.
but what I'm saying is if the city contracts with them so that then they get a better rate for it. I mean, the city's not gonna pay for it, but like they would get the better rate if we're gonna pay for it
Basically,
up
they are
front anyway.
upfront, But in the end. they're
How,
paying.
how many of those do you get lucky enough that you can pull the new line with the old one?
A few of them, but
Not many.
not too many, yeah. I mean, yeah,
Where it's sandy?
yeah. It-
You don't
You
know.
think you ain't gonna move this one, pull
Yep.
this one, and it works, and the next one you think, oh, a piece of cake, and it
Yep.
won't work, you know, so it's a crapshoot, you know.
So Marty, that has to be done in 10 years.
Yep, yeah.
Do we do something like a 3-year, let people save up, get an idea from their plumber or their whatever, and, you know, at least,
The Main Street ones are the biggest problem, gonna be, you know, they're gonna be the most expensive probably.
And there's how many Main Street ones?
Well, 4,
4.
yeah, so far, yeah.
So we give them a few years' notice so that they get saved up for it, and then deadline has to be done otherwise the city assesses. And then we have some type of way for them to pay us back.
Mhm.
we may give them 2 years that they have to at least
Have a plan.
have a plan or have some estimates or whatever, and then third year, you know, after the end of year 3, it's got to be done, or else
That's a
the
good
city
idea.
becomes involved.
But Mike's went bad before this was already all, and that could happen to some of these 10 of them out there on the street,
Yeah.
you know, and they have to cough it up right away on their own and do it.
right.
So it's, you know, whatever.
Yep.
Some of them may give up before we get to them, or they get to repair. them.
Something happens and it has to get done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But City ain't mandating it, it is the DNR.
Mhm.
And that's what the people in town have to realize, it's not the city, but they're
Right.
making the city come up with the money first in order for it to get done.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good. Number 14, consideration to approve resolution number 40-25, a resolution approving an agreement with Tyler Technologies to upgrade our financial management software for the city of Cascade. Any questions?
Is this that software that what you guys were talking about for the billing and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for our accounts payable, our payroll, everything.
And this is what everybody likes?
Yes,
It's
so,
the
I mean, we saw,
good
like I
one.
said, we demoed three different software companies, and the one would be taking us backwards. The Edmunds, it's new to the Midwest. It's an East Coast company, and there was nobody to call for a reference because they're all the company, the
Are-
cities that are converting are brand new to the conversion due to what's happening at G-Works. Tyler has been around for a very long time. Dyersville's had it for over 20 years. They love it. All the references were great. Literally, when we were doing this demo, we were like, can we please switch tomorrow? I mean, it was that good. It's user-friendly. It's just I love some of the we love some of the unique things that it does, like attaching the invoice right to the, when we're doing the claim. Because I know it takes a long time for us to like, sometimes we have to go to the basement to pull out a box to find an invoice when someone asks for it. This way, it's right there. We can bring it up on the computer and
Really?
print it
For
off.
example, like EMS recently came to me and said, you know, I want the invoices on all of the maintenance done to
Good.
our ambulances, our oil changes from 2022 to current, and it took me an entire afternoon, because I did have to go down to the
To
basement.
retrieve that.
And whereas if this new software, it would have maybe taken me an hour, and, you know, it's just, it's way more user-friendly. It's bringing us into, as, I mean, technology is continuously evolving, and it's bringing, it's to that point, like Deanna said, like Bannion's going backwards.
It's the
Like,
best.
Yeah,
ugh.
it is definitely the best.
The support system is 110% better than what I'm currently getting, and obviously I'm
Probably
at
200.
200. I mean, I'm a new clerk, so I'm still learning certain things, and I mean, they have just been wonderful, so.
And I mean, we've had tons of questions after our demo, and they've taken the time to explain things, and like I said, it's the most professional demonstration I have ever seen. They were so thorough, so, they would stop when we had questions, and
All cloud-based?
Yes.
yes,
You
for sure.
can, and you can actually access, like I could access it from my phone if I had to,
Perfect.
which would be amazing when I'm at a conference, if I needed to answer a question for someone quick, like I don't have to remote in quick, like I could,
Yeah.
yeah, yes.
Good.
So this takes care of our water billing and whatever, or is that separate with the utility company?
So the utilities currently have Tyler, just they're on an older version, but they are also looking to upgrade to the most recent version. So we will have comparable, the same software.
Which is a good thing, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it integrated? I mean, do they pay part of this cost, or is?
No, this is
that
all
part
of
totally-
ours. This is
totally
our
separate?
cost. And then they're going to upgrade to the latest and best, and they'll have their own cost then.
Because, to help you understand it, so like they have their accounts payable, they have their payroll, this will just be
City.
like city, like, so that's why it's not shared, because
Okay.
it's still
I didn't know if
separate.
it was one package or.
No.
No, because we're two separate entities with two separate tax ID numbers, so we have to remain separate.
If there's no other questions, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Oliphant,
I'll second.
second by Delaney, roll call.
Oliphant?
Aye.
Weber? Hush?
Aye.
Gale?
Aye.
Delaney?
Aye.
Reports, Fred?
Mike and I were talking on Saturday. We got a couple new laptops for the squad cars. Everything seems to be working fairly well. Mike kind of suggested maybe we upgrade our desktop that we have in the office. So he kind of sent me sent me estimates today on an upgraded desktop computer, and I think it's doable this year. I was kind of hoping to wait till after next year, but I think agreeing with these guys with the tariffs and everything going up, and that's kind of what Mike thinks too. It's probably a good time to jump on it. So we'll probably be looking at getting a new desktop computer, having everything switched over there. So yeah. And the only other thing I had, Herb Green Ford today they were gonna do an oil change on Brad's car. Got it up there, noticed that the antifreeze level was down a little bit. They did some testing, and I think he's starting to get a leaky water pump. So rather than to do the oil change now, go ahead and order the part, and in 2 weeks, they're gonna get the water pump in. They'd have to change the oil anyway, so. But just in case you see a bill, the parts aren't that much, but it sounds like it's gonna be rather labor intensive. I remember a few years ago, we did this when we had the Ford Taurus. We had to do the internal water pump. It was down for a few days, so that's where the second car comes in kind of handy. Just kind of let you know that you might see an expense like that, so come to, you know, not buying a new plow truck or anything, but it's gonna cost a little bit. We've still got about 2 years left on that car, so it's, at this point, it's not worth replacing the car. I think we can still repair it. We'll get some more miles out of it, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Deanna?
Chris Felton has agreed to come back and work for the city on Fridays through the summer to continue collecting GIS data and getting into our mapping system. We are looking at possibly capping well number 4 since it's not needed anymore. We have one quote and we're gonna get another quote. We had one pump go out at the Riverbend lift station, and then the other pump also went out, but they're original pumps, so they're 20 years old. So it's not like we just replaced them 5 years ago and all of a sudden they're out. So
4 is up at the old one on top of the hill, right?
No, that's the old one.
4 is that one?
Off McKinley?
Off McKinley at 7th and McKinley.
By Jim Weber's.
That's the one we had checked for reserve? Is that, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's well
We're
4.
gonna keep for an emergency.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, we were
that's
going to.
still the plan if we,
Well,
or are we just moving away from that?
moving away from it because, you wanna explain where you talk to him?
You're not
You got to do all
certified.
kinds of testing before you could actually use it, so if you wanna use it for an emergency situation,
Oh, it would
We
take
have to
time before
test
we'd
it.
even be able to use it.
and it's only gonna supply a part of the town anyway.
Right.
And they are requiring yearly
Additional.
testing, yearly
Yeah.
pumpage, and all that on it now, so might as well just get rid of it,
Okay.
instead of spending money on it and we never use it. And it's never gonna be good enough to put back online, because it's got nitrates in
Mhm.
it, so.
How deep is that one?
250.
It's a shell.
240, 250.
240.
So it's shallow.
So that, shallow wells have nitrates and the deep wells have ammonia.
So what's our,
So we have to demo the building, and then the well company come in and cap the well.
And cap the,
Okay.
Obviously give it all the services in there and go from there.
Phil, what happens with those pumps?
The sewage pumps?
Yeah, they just.
Both electric motors lost a phase, and they're 3-phase motors. Both of them, one phase, one down. They just burned out. So, yeah. They
Those,
got-
those are hooked up to tell you that they're not working, is that correct?
Yeah, we get a call. It's got a dialer on it.
Okay,
Yep.
just curious.
So there's two out there, or one is a backup one?
There's 2 pumps that alternate. You always have to have redundancy. And then, yeah, I mean, I priced pumps and I thought, well, there's no reason putting 2 pumps in. We might as well let that other one go as long as it can. They used to be $6,000 a piece. I think they're
How much?
13.
Mhm.
I said, well, just let that other one run. It could run 5 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't 3 weeks.
that was the plan.
that didn't work out?
No.
Well, let's hope
We
we
had
get,
to say, they had a new pump. We had to get them here to get one in. We were pumping with a
Yeah.
trash pump for a while, so.
We have 3 lift stations out in residential building, okay.
Yeah.
Herb Green,
Yeah.
that one,
Oak
and,
Street.
And-
okay. Thanks.
Are they all different brands?
No. They all had ABS. We put flights in back in this one.
You switched?
Yeah, that's what we had at the wastewater
Oh.
plant. It's just, the ABS suppliers out of Des Moines, and the flight suppliers out of Eldridge, so if you need service, it's a lot less service
Yeah.
call and a little quicker service, I hope.
So, these have 20 years on them, or are we kind of averaging out on the rest of them?
Polk Street's 16, 15 years
That's
old.
been a while.
And the one on 136 only serves Fort Garage, so, but that's, I don't know, they're probably 20.
yeah, that's creeping up.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Right.
I guess running probably don't have a lot to do with it, they're still sitting there,
Yeah,
you know.
they're sitting.
Bad environment.
Huh.
But hopefully we don't have any more.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Working on the budget amendment. At the next meeting, we'll set the budget amendment hearing date. Tomorrow, CIT will be coming out to clean Fifth Avenue Southwest from Hayes to McKinley because we had some issues. And then they'll come back later this fall or late summer and do the rest of the southwest side of town. The nets are up at the tennis courts. We'll be getting the parks ready. Sirens were tested. We replaced batteries in all of them to ensure they continue to work. We're going to be reviewing an infrastructure priority list, and we'll determine then which streets we should asphalt, which ones we'll seal coat. And then I met with Matt from Republic to possibly make a change to collecting garbage in the alleys to one side and not having to go down the alley, turn around, come back the other side. Because I know we talked about this quite a few years ago about preserving the alleys as much as we could, and so this might be an alternative. So they're going to put together some type of a plan and then come back to council to review it and see if it's something we want to change.
I talked to him a couple weeks ago at an event, and that just makes sense, but logistically, it's gonna be hard to switch.
Yeah. But I said, let's at least look at
Yeah.
it. Doesn't hurt to look at it, so.
Because there's alleys that they go down and back, and then they go down and back for recycling, and you could cut that in half.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna work everywhere.
No, I know, it won't.
We're checking on that too. We're gonna request side loads again.
Yes, we talked about that. Because I had, after the last meeting, one of the last meetings when we talked about it, I had called them the very next day. They said they would address it. Well, it doesn't sound like it's being addressed, or we need to reach out to them again because the recycling was a mess. Must have been last
Yeah.
week.
It's been windy.
It's windy every day.
If there's nothing else,
Actually, in February, we had a development agreement, and in default provisions, I asked about number 4. I think I've asked a couple other times at the meeting. Did we ever get anything back from the attorney on that?
I have not.
Can we make sure we
I
have
wonder if
something?
Amy's not there anymore? Because after you had asked the very last time, I had sent the email out the very next day and have heard nothing. So I'll ask John, because I know he's still there.
if there's nothing else for the betterment of the community, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Hush,
Second.
second by Weber, all in favor?
Aye.